What was it about the world of education that just was like, man, I really enjoy this. I want to do this.
I really enjoy history. I was a history major in college. My first time through, I went back to college when I was 30 to get my teaching degree. I think it was the idea of giving back and doing something that maybe wasn't money wise, financially impactful, but people wise is impactful. The intrinsic reward with working with students and helping guide students, again, coming from a large family and I'm the second oldest out of all my cousins, I think that was what drew me to it is that I'd be doing something impactful and something very different than what I had been doing before. Um, it really though started with a love of history and wanting to do something worthwhile. So I was in education. I was a teacher for 4 years. I was an assistant principal for 4 years, a building principal for 3 years, and I've been the director of human resources now for 2 years. So
Wow.
I've had many different roles in education, and I'm consistently moving up. But it is a difficult field. A lot is expected of teachers and educators these days, and there's this sense of entitlement that we can fix everybody's problems and we should be raising everybody's kids. Not everybody. That's not a fair statement, but some people have this perception that the school should be providing a lot more than they're able to financially, resource wise, and so the burden falls on teachers and on principals and on educators in general to really try to make up for that in any way they can. And it is challenging, but it's again one of those fields that's very rewarding.
What's your favorite part about being around students?
No, God, kids say the craziest things, man. I was like the worst principal because I would just laugh and laugh and laugh. Like, I mean, even if the kid said something naughty, I honestly, I use my sense of humor. I don't take things too seriously unless I have to. And I think my favorite part about being around kids, especially middle school kids, when I was the principal at the middle school, is just the things they say and they come up with and their take on life and their perception because it's just so innocent most of the time and it's so genuine and it's just like I said, I did a lot of laughing as a principal because kids say the craziest shit, and I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, you got to think back to when you were a student too. I'm sure you saw some stuff back then as well.
Oh yeah, I always put myself, and I didn't like school, so I always try to put myself in the place of the kids that had a tough time being in school, and I completely understand. I mean, and it's not always just for a lack of trying or a lack of want. A lot of it is just not the right place for them to learn. So you really try to find different pathways and different ways to engage all students so learning is accessible. And I feel like as a principal, I was successful at that because I used my own experience to really try to understand the perspective of some kid who just struggled to be in school in a classroom in rows learning all day.
What are some things that you do to try to help a student learn something or have done in the past?
The best thing you can do is build a relationship with a student, and that was my priority whenever I was a teacher and a principal. Is I knew all of my kids' names as a teacher the first day, and if I messed your name up after the first day, then you got candy. And I probably only gave away 3 pieces of candy in 4 years. I went really far out of my way to learn my students and empathize and engage with them in their personal lives, not related to anything academic. Because once you build that trust in them, once they want to win for you, you can get them to run through walls and it's not for you, it's for them, but they don't realize it at the time. So to me, to motivate a student, the best thing you can do is know that student and really most importantly, genuinely care about that student and their future.
Yeah, I mean, being around students it is the most rewarding, and it can be hard at times because you want to get them to learn whatever it is you're teaching, and you got to find the right method. Otherwise, it's not going to work, and you got to try something else. It's always about repetition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And it's about helping them find the best way that they learn. One thing I
Yes,
used to always tell my kids is you might not need to know algebra, but you need to learn the process of learning. So when you find something that you want to do, you're capable of learning how to do it. It's not always what you learn in school, the content that's important. It's the process of learning itself that school teaches you that becomes important when you're finally doing something that you feel is worthwhile and relevant to who you are.
it's the details. The
Yep.
details are always essential. They're always important. Now, you also mentioned, as we mentioned at the top of the show, you're the director of human resources now. I mean, that's a whole nother um, rung on the ladder, so to speak. What's it like doing that, being a part of
I'm
that?
not as involved in kids, but I'm more involved in obviously with the staff, the adults. Sometimes for good, sometimes for not so good. Um, I feel like one of my main roles there is to do everything I can to build a positive culture within my district so that the adults can carry that down to their students. If the adults are supportive, they can support their students. So that's one of my main priorities. I also really focused on building morale and giving Fulton a sense of pride. Fulton City School District, it's about 30 minutes north of Syracuse. So we started this project last year. Our PI guy, Alex from Arbosi's, and it's called the Fulton School Champions. And it's kind of a publishers clearinghouse kind of style presentation where we have the community send in nominations and we select 3 staff members from any area, whether it be food service or an aide or a teacher or a bus driver. And we go out of our way to really set up this big surprise for these people. And we, like I said, you don't know Publishers Clearinghouse either, do you?
I've
They used to like bum rush people with their cameras and be like, "You're
Oh
just running
yeah,
through
yeah,
cars."
yeah, 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 yeah.
Kind of what we do. We surprise them. It's like you come to work one day, everything's just a normal day, and next thing you know, you have 300 people around cheering for you because you're a Fulton School champion. We'd had 33 of them this year, and that's very worthwhile. And as a human resource director of human resources, you're typically thought of as being very. You think of what's his name from The Office. Um,
Steve Carell's character.
No, not Steve Carell's character. You think of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank because we always joke about it. The HR guy in the office, very
Yeah, yeah,
stuffy,
yeah.
very serious.
Yes.
Toby. Um, it's nice to be able to do something that's complete departure from the legal aspect and the personnel aspect that I normally have to do every day and do something fun and entertaining. Because I mean, we really do. Everybody in the Fulton community watches these videos, and we really get a chance to spotlight our staff members and the work they do for kids. So as a director of human resources, that's unique. I don't think we actually won an honorable mention this year from the National School PR Association, and we were awarded it all the way out in Seattle. So my partner Alex went all the way to Seattle to accept it and talk about the program. So it's a nationally recognized program that really is focused on this local school district and its staff members. And so for me, again, director of human resources, I deal with contracts, I deal with negotiations, I deal with anything legal, I deal with the attorneys. If something happens to a staff member with the insurance and benefits, but I also have this great side gig that I get to do. And to me, that kind of brings back the entertainment side of me because it is entertainment. I host it, I go out there, I plan it. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been one of the most worthwhile things that I've done in my career so far. We're doing it next year. We're going to keep it going. So it's got a great
Yeah.
following. We really get average of 10,000 followers or watch views for each video, which is pretty good for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like you found that void that was missing, once you left professional wrestling. I mean, it's always good to find something that you love to do. And it's amazing to hear that you're really passionate about this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you at all like talk about your wrestling days around with your students? Do they know that you were once a WWE superstar?
Oh yeah, everybody does. They all do. My district, my superintendent, my board of education are very supportive, and they always have been, which I'm very fortunate. I know there's some school districts that would not be so supportive because of who the character was. Even though it was a character, some people can't separate fiction from reality. But I will talk about it if asked, and I've made it a point. It's never something I just go around and say. I'm just not that. It's just not that kind of person. People, and then some people think I don't want to talk about it, but I have no problem talking about it. I'm just not going to walk up and be like, "Hey, I used to be a wrestler for the WWE. You want to talk to me?" It's not. That's just not who I am. But I have kids ask me questions all the time. I love to demonstrate how fake wrestling is. Like I'll always put a wrist lock on them, and I'll act like I'm digging in. I'm like, "Does this hurt?" And they're like, "No." And then I'll just go and turn the wrist. Like, "Ow, ow, ow, ow." I'm like, "That's wrestling." That's how it's fake. It's real, but you don't apply 100% pressure because you're not trying to hurt somebody. You're trying to entertain.
And Davari's in the background screaming.
Yeah, right. I,
Man,
I take him everywhere I go.